Okay, so here we go. The Maiden Voyage, as a fine broadcaster once said, of a new show for the KMS YouTube channel. It's called Nickel's Worth of Free Advice, which is one of my favorite Kirkisms. The idea of this show is that it's a show by Minifans for Minifans, where every week, or not every week, because I might get divorced if I try to do this every week. Maybe every other week if I can swing it. Every episode, it's going to be me hosting. I'm going to bring in one, maybe two Minifans for a mix of an educational program and an interview program / talking shit about other Minifans. But the main thrust of it, the reason it's called a Nickel's Worth of Free Advice, is because I want the Minifans who come on with me to lend their expertise on a given topic of the week. And that topic, each episode, is going to be based around the fact that I want active Minifans to help other Minifans learn the skills that they need to get more involved in the KMS world. Okay, I know that there's a lot of things that are special about the Kirk Minahan show, but I personally think one of the most special things about it is the fact that Kirk and Mike and Steve are treating the audience like the fourth member of the show. I don't know of any other podcast or show that's ever done it to this level. Maybe I'm ignorant. I didn't listen to Stern in the 90s. Maybe I'm giving him credit for something that has been done before, but at least today, right now, looking around, I don't see anything coming even close to the level of participatory audience that KMS has. And I think it's awesome. But I also think that there's probably some fans out there who watch Mike and the Minifans, hear people jumping on the Minifan show, see the Mincel Intel guys doing their own thing, who would like to do it, but maybe don't know how and don't know where to start and don't have the skills that they need. So that's where this show is going to come in. Nickel's Worth of Free Advice is going to give those people some tips on how to get involved. So where do we start? Well, if every Minifan is going to get involved, every Minifan is going to need a microphone. So that's the topic of the first episode, is microphones and Minifans. So to come in today for the first episode is Real DEC and Ned Snark. And I think the reason I went with Real DEC is pretty obvious. DEC is the godfather of Minifan-generated content. Him and MHB got the ball rolling in a big way with the Minifan show. And DEC's a known tech geek. He's had a few episodes stray into tech talk before. So I thought there's nobody more perfect to come in and give some advice on what to get for your first microphone if you want to jump into this world. And then Ned Snark I'm bringing in, obviously because we're doing this via video, so why wouldn't you want Ned Snark involved? But also because after Ned Snark and I went on DEC's show, Ned was not using a professional microphone. I think he was using the onboard microphone on his computer. And the levels were a little low. Kirk kind of took a shot at him, so we'll listen to that right now. So there you hear it. That was Kirk's reaction. Whereas when I went on the Minifan show, I had my USB microphone that I'll get into a little bit later. And here was Kirk's reaction to me.
I thought he was very good as a sidekick. I think he and DC had good chemistry together. I think DC found his guy.
Yeah, they were good when they were on with me. They had a good back and forth.
I don't think
they seemed to dislike each other.
He's not at his height, not quite as good as MHB, but he's almost as good without all of the baggage.
So there you go. That's the difference. That's the difference that getting the right microphone can make. If Ned Snark had had the right microphone, maybe it would have been Kirk singing his praises. But Ned didn't, and I think that's the only reason why he got a little bit glossed over in that episode, and it broke my heart, although I was elated to have Kirk praise me, as I always am. Okay, so we're going to bring the guys in. If I can figure this out. Real DEC and Ned Snark. Welcome, gentlemen. Could you hear my intro?
Yes, absolutely.
Yep. All right. Ned, I'm sorry I had to bring that up. I really did feel that way, though, Ned. No, but I feel like you were obviously really good on the show, but Kirk's comment about something about the worst microphone on earth. So I feel like he glossed over you a little bit. But so that's what gave me the idea for today, was that offline in private messages, DEC and Ned and I had a discussion about microphones. So we wanted to come on the show today and have that same one. So DEC and I
talk about gear. I'm ready to go. I am obsessed by gear. I have a mental problem with it. So I went and learned everything I can about this. I'm gonna tell you this right now, jumping ahead. What I have right here, if you're a beginner, do not buy this. This is the Rode NT1. We'll probably get into it, but do not buy this immediately. This is something that's a step up.
Okay. All right. So that's a good point, DC, is that we want to talk about entry-level microphones. So
it's not entry level.
It's not entry level. Someday, if you work hard, take your vitamins, say your prayers, get 6 to 8 hours of sleep a night, you too can be like DEC and upgrade to that microphone. So, all right. So I'll start. So we're gonna go to my microphone, which you can see right here. We're also going to overlay some video, some photos onto this broadcast after the fact. But so what I have is the Blue Yeti microphone. So when I first was lucky enough to go on the show with Mike, I went online and I started looking at recommendations for entry-level podcast microphones. And if you look at those types of, top 10, top 20 articles, you'll see the Blue Yeti microphone listed on a lot of them as an entry-level microphone for podcasters. So part of the reason that I went with the Blue Yeti is because of the fact that it has several different recording patterns. So the Blue Yeti has one recording pattern that's what I'm in right now, which is essentially where you're talking directly into the front of the microphone. And that's the only direction by which it's picking up the audio. It also has an omnidirectional setting, which would pick up around an entire room. It has a setting where it's going to pick up from the front of the microphone and the back of the microphone. So if you only have one mic and you're doing a one-on-one interview with somebody, you put you on one side, them on the other side, and that'll enable you to do that interview. So the reason I went with that is because obviously I wanted to use it for KMS related things, but professionally, I also had some ideas for a podcast that I can do at work. Some scenarios where I envisioned recording people in a group setting, in which case that omnidirectional setting was going to be ideal for me. And if I'm interviewing people one-on-one, that setting would work for me. So I ended up going with the Blue Yeti for those reasons. It's been working out pretty well. It's fairly user-friendly, but DEC, why don't you elaborate on, I know you don't consider it the most entry-level microphone.
No, and something to help you out if you are a more visual learner, on minifanshow.com, my website, what I've done is I've created a whole gear page of everything from entry level to more intermediate to advanced. So you can take a look, you can see the recommendation, you can have a link to Amazon, which will get you to where you need to go. So the Blue Yeti mic is a good mic if you know what you're doing. And that's the problem with the Blue Yeti mic, is a lot of people grab it and don't know what they're doing. I saw TJ Hubbard bought one, no fault of his own. He started talking into the top of the microphone. I've seen,
and it was backwards,
where people talk into the microphone. You talk into the side because it's a condenser mic. Because it's a condenser mic, it picks up a lot of background noise. And if you have a room that's not sufficiently treated, you could get a lot of echo. A lot of people may not also understand those knobs around omnidirectional or bidirectional. If you put that omnidirectional one on and you are not in the right room, you are going to get echo like crazy. So you have to be careful it's on the right one. You have to be careful that the gain is set the right way. You have the mic set up the right way. You have it on a stand. You cannot leave the Blue Yeti on its stand that it comes with. That's a beautiful stand. But if you start banging the desk, that thing is going to pick up all the noise and you're going to have a thunk every single time you put your hand down. And that's why I recommended. Originally, my recommendation for an entry level was the AT2100, which was about $70, but they went and changed it to a USB-C one, which is over $100. And now I recommend the Samson Q2U, which is both a USB and an XLR mic. So if you get that mic and you decide, hey, I want to move up to XLR, XLR is an analog mic where like what a radio station would use. And when you hear digital and analog, everybody thinks that digital is the right way to go. And microphones analog tends to have a better quality. So when you have the Samson, I want to call it Samsung. It's Samson Q2U. If you decide I want to upgrade, you can just stick an XLR cable into it or a USB. So it has a lot of stuff. And Ned, I think on that one, it comes with a whole bunch of extras too.
Yeah. So being the novice, being the boomer of the group, I usually use my my Apple mic and headphone and earbuds for conference calls, or sharing screens for presentations or things like that. And the quality I usually hear from others is pretty good. So the first time I was on mic in the Minifans, I used this and it seemed to be okay. But you're right, Andy, when we did the the DEC show, everything sounded fine, but when on the recording back, I sounded like terrible.
Yeah, I didn't notice it live.
Yeah, and then DEC was instrumental because I'm a tech moron, and you know, pointing me in the right direction to what I need. So I have the Samsung Cube 2 on a stand. For people like me who are not tech geeks, it's very simple. You plug it into your USB port on your laptop. It plugs into the mic stand. The stand can come off. You can actually walk around with it. It recommends very simply for the best audio quality, stay within 6 to 18 inches, which is a good range. And it's got a very simple, easy to use book. I didn't have to do anything to my laptop to program it. I just put it in, accepted it, and I was off to the races. And so far, I think it's pretty good.
And that's a good point too. That the same is true for the Blue Yeti. It's a plug and play. You just go right into the USB and you're pretty much ready to go. But as DEC said, it does take a little bit more finessing. You know, I've been reading up on articles, and as DEC alluded to, the gain on the Blue Yeti can be tricky. Because you turn it up and you're going to be louder. And I think people naturally think, okay, I want to be as loud as possible. But the higher the gain is, the higher the sensitivity is. You're going to get background noise. You're going to hear, if it's a Friday night show, you're going to hear my daughter going to bed and my wife trying to get her down in the other room, all that kind of stuff. Another thing that you said, Ned, that's interesting is that the Samsung can be easily picked up off the stand. So does that mean if you were doing an interview with someone, you could do the classic, holding it out to them and back to you? Sure. So that's another benefit of the Samsung that the Blue Yeti doesn't really have. The Blue Yeti is maybe this is why they call it a Yeti. It's a bit of a beast of a microphone. It's a big mic and it's heavy, and it doesn't have the tapered handle to let you get your hand around it. So if I were going out in the field to do any type of interviews, the Blue Yeti would be a tricky mic to use, whereas the Samsung, it sounds like, has a bit more versatility in terms of in the studio or out in the field.
It does. It's very lightweight. I mean, I'm literally holding it with like 2 fingers. I don't know. I really haven't heard if it's picking up any background noise. So I don't know if you can hear like my shutters are rattling. I close the window. I can hear them, but you guys can't, which is great.
One of the reasons that you can't hear it is, unlike the 2 mics that we're using, that's a dynamic mic. And a dynamic mic is built in such a way that it rejects background noise very well.
Right.
In that situation, something like that, you could have wind coming in. You're probably not going to hear it. With my mic or with Andy's mic, you're going to hear every bit of it. One of the benefits of a condenser mic is you have far better audio quality. It picks up everything. The downside is it picks up everything, and that's not the case with a dynamic mic.
So I'm sorry, Ned, please.
Since this is a dynamic mic, it also has a very, first of all, it was only $51, including shipping, I think, through Amazon.
Wow, that's excellent.
So that was perfect. It's very affordable.
Was that just the mic, Ned?
That was everything. The mic, the stand, the connectors. I've also got like these. Maybe you guys can tell me what I need these for.
Those are XLR cables. If you have a way of hooking that up to an audio interface, you can use those for now. Put them aside. Save them.
Right.
Down the road, Ned.
Down the road.
Yes, down the road. So, but for novice, for those like looking for something that's relatively inexpensive, very easy to set up and use. This is definitely the best choice, and I thank DEC for it. The other thing too is it does recommend. I think you're absolutely right, DEC, because it says if you stay within the range of the mic. So I'm probably about less than a foot away. It does not pick up ambient noise around you. So it is only your voice, which is good, because you don't want I'm always worried that I have wood floors of an echo, or just a background noise that you can hear throughout the house, but it's not being picked up on the microphone. So that's great.
So on the Samsung DEC, as Ned just described, it's picking him up and nothing around him. Am I correct that unlike the Blue Yeti, you can't change that? It doesn't have any type of other pickup patterns, no omnidirectional or anything like that?
Cardioid only.
Okay.
That's why the price is down. It doesn't have extra features. It's just a one thing, but it does that one thing incredibly well.
Okay, so that's something to keep in mind. If you're like me and you had a few other scenarios in which you think you might use your mic, including group interviews or one-on-one interviews, you might want to consider the Blue Yeti. If you're really just going to be doing shows where you just need to be picking up yourself right in front of the mic, the Samson is a much more affordable choice. The Blue Yeti, I paid about $130 when I bought it. If you go on Amazon today, it's down to $119. And it also comes in a variety of colors, so some of the colors are a little bit more or a little bit less. But that's the ballpark. About $51 for the DEC recommended mic, and about $130 for the Mayo mic. Both of which will come with stands and all the cables that you need. All right.
Blue Yeti now has a new one called the Blue Yeti X, which is I think $160.
Okay.
You have to be kind of discerning in what you get. If you want all those bells and whistles of that X, go for it. Right now, you're probably going to be fine with the regular Blue Yeti and save a couple bucks. And if you want to find them, go to minifanshow.com where we have all the gear recommendation. And then there's other stuff like Kirk 101, building that website out to be a full-featured community.
DEC, does the Minifan Show have a sponsor?
We do.
Tell us more.
My guy here reached out to me, Red Dogs and Company. So Red Dogs and Company is the company that Stella, God bless her, had she lived, she would have wanted to buy. What I love about Red Dogs and Company is that they are owned by Minifans, and unlike Ben Robinson, these guys are actual veterans. They have natural treats. They have collars. These are collars that you want to put on if you're taking your dog to Newport or Nantucket. These things are beautiful. They're handcrafted, all organic from local farms. The treats are, and you can even buy a 3-month, 6-month, or 12-month subscription. I just put it out on Twitter last night, and he already got back to me saying, "Oh my God, I'm getting a ton of sales that I did not have before." You can go to retail locations up and down the Cape and in Boston, or you can go to reddogscompany.com and type in the promo code Minifan, and you get 10% off your shipment. It also lets him know, hey, another Minifan is buying from us. So support other Minifans, support Red Dogs and Company.
And support the Minifan Show, because DC, I've given you my share of ball busting and shit in the past.
Mm-hmm.
The more I've gotten involved in the world, and I've been tinkering with cutting up audio and things like that, the more I do that, the more my appreciation for the effort and time that you've put into the world and into your show has gone up. So when you talk about sponsorship or reinvesting into the show, I think you're a guy who's got a proven track record. And I think you've certainly earned it. And you know, I'd be happy to, I don't own a dog, but I bought the collar. I'll find some other use for the collar from those guys.
The best I can ever do is go get a rescue dog.
Yeah, we got allergies.
I bought a leash yesterday, so it's coming.
All right.
I bought the 1-inch by 6-foot leash. I bought the Marlin for the little bit of the Florida style. I've got a 100-pound dog, and you know, he has already gone through one leash, and the one he has now is fraying, so we're a little worried.
Perfect.
You know, he's a hound, so he's all nose, so you need a good strong leash to keep him on a walk. So I'm looking forward to getting it, and it was like $26 including delivery, so very reasonable.
And you're getting something that looks beautiful too.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Well, congrats on that, DC. That's a great milestone for the Minifan Show. Yeah. Real quick on the microphones. Let's talk accessories. If you're going to get a microphone, you're going to want a pop guard, right? Which is this circular thing right here. So these are pretty affordable. This one is the Dragon Pad that I got on Amazon for $16.49. It's I don't love it. I mean, maybe I'm misusing it, not setting it up correctly. I find it dips. It's hard for me to get it into place. The other thing is, if you're Ned Snark, no way in hell does the audience want part of your face obscured by this friggin' thing. So the other recommendation I have is I did also go buy a pop guard, a foam pop guard that can go right onto the microphone. So in the event that I don't want to use the Dragon Pad, I do have this option as well. And that was like $12. The other thing I bought, and I'll put some photos overlaid onto this, is I did buy a suspension stand for the Blue Yeti, like DEC said. The stand that comes with it is sturdy as hell, but you will get desk sounds if you're bumping the desk or tapping your leg. And it's stationary. So you're going to set your mic up on the stand that comes with it. and it is where it is. You can tilt it back and forth, but you can't bring it up. You can't bring it down. I mean, look at the angle that my mic's at right now. It's right up near my face, and I've got it angled. You couldn't do that with that stand. So you really do need a suspension arm. And I got that for about $20. And then when DEC first went on Mike's show and yelled at me, I got really jealous that he had one of these things, a shock mount. So I went and bought this, but the only thing I don't like about it with the Blue Yeti is the Blue Yeti's so heavy that if you try to put it with the mic up vertically, it leans and it ends up leaning on here, which defeats the purpose of this thing. Because then if this gets shook, it's still shaking the microphone. It is effective if you're hanging it upside down. But again, when you're hanging it upside down, if you're a vain bastard like me, it's going to be covering up more of your face, and we can't have that. So
what's the purpose of that?
So this, DC, can you explain this? You probably could do a better job than me.
I probably can dip a little bit further down.
There you go.
I have a shock mount on this one. Now, one of the beauties of the microphone that I have, which is the NT1, is, and by the way, this is what Kirk's show uses, is it comes with a shock mount. The shock mount does kind of what it says it does. It prevents shocks. So if I were to tap away on the stand, you're not really hearing
no,
stuff.
You're not.
Like, the shock will be taken care of with this stuff. This is a really important thing to buy. With the Blue Yeti, there are special ones for the Blue Yeti because it is incredibly heavy. What you have, Andy, there is probably a universal one which will work with almost everything except the Blue Yeti. So you have to look around. They have Blue Yeti ones. They tend to be expensive.
Yeah, this one said it was made for the Blue Yeti, but it also was fairly affordable. So, yeah, maybe I should have spent a little bit more on it.
Buy it.
Hold on.
Ned just pulled a Tangway. He's walking out.
There we go.
He's pulling a Tangway. Is there like a boy underneath the desk?
No, my windows are slightly open in these cheap shades that I have to get rid of.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. You have to close your window because it's only 60 out.
So there's no ice blocking the window.
The last accessory I wanted to ask about is headphones. So again, you can have regular everyday headphones, or you can get what are called monitor headphones. And monitor headphones, as far as I understand it, are if you want the purest representation of how the audio you're recording is actually going to sound upon playback, monitor headphones get you that. Whereas Bluetooth headphones or regular headphones, you may not have as accurate an idea of what your recording sounds like as you're recording it. DC, is that fair? Is that an accurate assessment?
So you definitely do not want to use Bluetooth headphones because you are going to have the equivalent of a kung fu movie going on in your head, because with Bluetooth headphones, there's always some type of latency.
Yeah.
When you start talking, you're going to be a half a second behind.
And they skip. I was having skips in audio and thinking it was in the source material. And then I went to hardwired headphones and the skips weren't there. So again, with the monitor headphones, I think if you're looking to just get into some of the shows just to talk and get on there, you could just get away with regular but hardwired, you want plug-in headphones. If you're like me and you've got some other side projects and you're messing around with audio editing and Audacity and recording stuff, you probably want to get monitor headphones so that you have the best idea of how your sound is actually sounding as you're recording it. So unless you guys have any more comments on the equipment, I think that's a pretty good starting point.
Just one thing too, I didn't mention with the Samsung, I got I guess what was this called?
Pop guard, wind guard.
I guess so. The wind guard came with it.
Oh,
so
good.
I just threw it on there, so I don't really have a popping. I don't think so. I don't.
I'm not hearing any popping. That's working just fine.
Yeah. So this is for the novice. This is, I got to say, this has been great. My question though is, I've not done it for work, for business, for video conference calls or anything like that. I assume it would work, correct? The same style.
I was going to mention that it's a great value, even if you're not going to podcast, to use it for business, because you're going to sound a lot better than the fools who are on Skype or on Teams or on the web services that sound like they're far away. You're the one who's actually going to stand out.
Perfect.
Okay. All right, so there you go, folks. Those are the recommendations from us. If you're interested in jumping in, you can't go wrong with either of these two microphones. And then as DEC said, minifanshow.com, he's going to have a lot more information up there about gear recommendations, because as the KMS universe is expanding, there's more and more opportunities to get involved. So so jump in, okay? All right, so that's it for the tech rec.
You like too, because I'll add it up there.
Oh, okay. Okay, so let DEC know. All right. So we're going to move on to a segment we're calling Nickelheads of the Week. It's like Knucklehead, but Nickelhead.
Got it.
Because the name of the show is Nickels Worth of Free Advice. You guys with me?
You have to explain.
Got it. Wow.
It's not funny.
So Knucklehead is a derogatory term for someone who does something stupid, DEC. So what I've done is I've taken Knucklehead, but I turned it into Nickelhead because the name of the show we're on is Nickels Worth of Free Advice.
Nice.
So this is a segment where we basically have a loosely connected thematic thread to talk about other Minifans. My Nickelhead of the Week was going to be MHB for not, I'm pretty sure when he made his return to Trash Talk, he did not turn his microphone on.
That was tough.
But as MHB alluded to, he does know my real identity and he holds it over my head. So all I'll say is MHB was fantastic on that show, and I'm glad he's back. But I was curious, DEC, what's any talk of a Minifan show reunion? That's what I assumed was going to be happening.
Potentially. So the issue with MHB is he has work commitments. He's doing stuff on the weekend. He works late. He makes a ton of cash, but he also works very hard. In reality, we're just trying to line it up. I think it's something that is going to happen. I don't think it's something that can happen all the time. I don't think it's something he wants to do all the time anymore, but I think a pop in, a pop out special thing is worthwhile. So yeah. I would say keep looking at the feed. It's likely to happen.
Okay. All right. I was
dying to hear him too, because he's the patron saint of the Minifans, and he was back from the beginning, from day one. But I couldn't hear him, so I kept.
It wasn't MHB's fault. It was Mike's original seeing eye dog who was there, who couldn't figure out how to turn things on.
So I did isolate one MHB clip, and I pumped up the audio, so we'll listen to that right now.
Mayo and I we've had a love-hate thing for a long time. So I like some of what he does. I think he's good, actually. I think he's really good on air. But
and just so you guys know, it was him saying I'm really, really good on air. and then it ends with a big but, and it happened to cut out after the but. We didn't get to hear what he said after the but about me.
Even on the show, even on KMS, Mike always sounds very loud. And on that broadcast, when he was with MHB, it was one of these where I'm like turning the volume down for Mike and then cranking up MHB. But I don't know how Mike. He's got a very distinctive voice, and it always sounds really loud to me compared to anybody else in the studio.
So, DEC, do you have a nickel head? Anybody that you think needs a nickel's worth of free advice this week?
Yeah, I'm going to add John Scranton. John Scranton is getting a lot of crap for the idea that he's going to do his own podcast, which I don't have a problem with. My nickel's worth of advice for him is, it seems the focus for some of those Mintel guys is, how do we get a sponsor? How do we make money? I don't know if it's reality, but it seems to be the perception. And I would say, guys, find your why first. Figure out why you're doing this. What's your focus? What are you going to do? What's the void that somebody else isn't doing? When you start doing that incredibly well, you'll have opportunities to make money if you want to do that. But don't think of making money first. Think of doing great content. Compensation comes down the line when you do that.
John said last night that are you guys hearing an echo when I'm talking?
A little bit.
I'm not.
No, that is okay. Well, hopefully it's hopefully we have the audio hasn't sucked this entire time, because I can't hear myself. But yeah, they said last night that John said last night they weren't necessarily pursuing sponsorship. So I don't know if that's just a rumor that was going around or what.
And so I said perception, not reality, but perception can be reality.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there's a certain group of people that have been gossiping about them for the past week or two, and that's where that perception comes from. I won't say private chat because people are tired of hearing me talk about the private chat. Yeah, exactly. But you guys would know better than me if that has been a topic of conversation amongst the inner circle.
I don't know what you're speaking of.
Yeah, there we go. Okay. So my thing with that is we'll add a clip in here of Matt from Providence from last night.
All right, what do you want us to do, Matt?
Thing with the Discord, you think that you're the only people who were in on the joke, when in reality, we made the fucking joke.
Oh, good job, dude. We know that. We fucking know that.
We'll start fucking acting like it.
He got a lot of hate too, and I don't
He
understand.
deserves it.
Why?
Because Matt literally said, you guys think you're the only ones in on the joke. We wrote the fucking joke. That's what we made the joke. He said
that.
So it's like, Matt, everyone calls me crazy for saying that there's this elitist group of fans that like to think they're above everybody and that they get to dictate terms to the newer fans of how they should behave or what they should do with their own shows. Everyone calls me crazy and conspiratorial for saying that. And then Matt comes out last night and says, we made the joke. And when John responds, yeah, we know, Matt says, well, then start acting like it. Telling him, start acting with a certain level of deference to us, the elite Minifans, because they know better than the new fans. It's total bullshit.
I didn't get that at all. I watched it. I didn't get that.
Stuff. It's the other stuff that you're crazy and conspiratorial about that we have a problem with. The difference here is the opposite of love is not hate, it's apathy. And even if Matt is driving people crazy, everybody in the chat on YouTube is saying, I hate Matt, I hate Matt, I hate Matt. That's good. He has this talent for jumping on and talking and getting all worked up and red in the face about stuff that in the grand scheme of things don't matter squat. Much like if you watch CNN or Fox News, these political pundits, he can just get worked up about things that just don't matter. And that's what makes him entertaining.
Yeah.
I did find it disingenuous, though. And then he later said, I was...
Comment. That's a shitty comment.
He said I was acting, acting, trying to rile people up, which is, I mean, we all do that. Like, I like stirring the pot, so sometimes there's a bit of acting to that. But with Matt, to say that on Mike's show, what did we all kill Rich Kelleher for? Largely for coming in and being a character who tried to generate controversy and was perceived as doing it to draw attention to himself. But Matt can go on last night and say, oh, the whole thing was just an act to try to trigger my enemies, which is, I like when people get fired up and it's entertaining, but I want to know that it's coming from a real place. Like, I genuinely think it's horseshit for some fans to try to tell other fans what to do. Like, if you don't like the bracket and you think the bracket is clogging up your timeline, you know what? If they put the bracket out and nobody gave a shit, it wouldn't clog up your timeline. It's clogging up your timeline because people are engaging with it because they care about it and it's fun. And those guys did a really good job with it. So to have somebody come around and try to chastise them for creating their own content, which we're all being encouraged to do, and to tell them that the old guard has insight into how they should be directing their energy, it's snobbery. I can't stand it. I really don't like that. And I genuinely feel that way and I get fired up about it, but I'm not going to come on a show and pretend to be fired up about it for entertainment's sake. That's disingenuous. And that's not what I think the KMS world is built on. It's supposed to be real feelings that are perhaps amplified, but not just outright acting like that.
Yeah, I was going to say, I watched most of it. There was the part with Chris from Quantum Week. I couldn't deal with that guy.
I love Chris.
But I like the exchange. I did.
I'm going to put a pin in that. And we're going to come back to Chris and Quantum Week because you had some comments about that, but go ahead. I'm not going to let you get off the hook with that.
Yeah, it's not Callahan-esque. Don't worry about it. I won't go. It's too early on a Sunday morning to go on a rant like that. But I did like the exchange between the two. Andy, I didn't pick up from Matt. I just think he was kind of holding the banner. But at the end, he got his point across. And I actually do like John from Scranton, right?
Too.
Right? A lot. And he comes across as really, I'm not sure how old he is, but mature, well thought out. He's trying to do the right thing. I love the content they've been putting out. The Mincel Intel YouTube is okay. There are parts of it that kind of lags, but I like it. I watch it there's only 2 episodes. I watch them both. So I don't really have any problem with them at all. But I do think in this time we got to stop at this bullshit of the, them versus us. Kirk's on the sideline doing his stuff, and there shouldn't be infighting. I think the brackets are fun. No, I don't think anyone should really care or take it personally. It's fun if you want to, campaign for yourself or whatever, but that's fine. I'm not going to do that. But it's just a nice distraction, and it's loaded. The past week with Kirk out, I've been going back and listening to previous episodes, so I'm up to like the second week, and they're amazing. But I'm also like just overwhelmed with the content that's out there between the weight loss challenge and Latino Kirk and Will, out in Iowa, and there's a lot going on. And then Kirk, of course, Mike's Go for Geary. That's enjoyable too. I actually like that.
That was good. I think it should be called "What's Up, Buddy," but Mike disagreed.
I think
I gotta find a way to call in.
John Scranton brought up something important last night that I picked up on, and I'm going to change some of my habits. He mentioned, hey, a lot of the guys may not know who TJ Hubbard is because TJ Hubbard's in your world. He's on Twitter, but all of us guys are on Discord, and I don't see a TJ Hubbard on Discord. It reminded me, I'm going to spend some more time in Discord because I feel like there's a whole untapped community in there who may not know us well or may not be being utilized well.
Yeah.
He's got a point. The Discord generally hates my guts, so I'm going to spend more time in there. And if they just want to just spew hate at me, I'm going to be there to take it. So I want to get to know those Discord guys better.
Well,
I think that's wise.
If they hate you, DEC, it's only because you're out there way more than any of us. I go in there every once in a while. I don't get any negative anything, and I don't really care if I do or not. But I just like, what does Kirk say?
The most unhateable guy in the
stick a toe in there.
Yeah, everyone loves
because I don't really. It moves so fast, I can't follow it. But nickel's worth of free advice. I think Patrick put out a link through Discord to send Kirk a message. There are only 4 or 5 of them in there. I did one when I was in Atlanta this week, and I was surprised. I was a little disappointed by everyone not going in there and taking 15 seconds just to send, some sort of positive message. By the way, if Kirk goes in and sees there's only 5, he's going to say something.
Mm-hmm.
So it's in your own best interest not to be singled out, but you should all go in there. The link is right there on the Discord main page for messages for Kirk. Do it from your phone. Takes 20 seconds. Do it. That's my free advice.
I think that's good. I haven't done a video because it's weird with Kirk because you just assume he doesn't want to hear from you.
Right.
So the thought of leaving him a message is kind of like, well, this isn't what he wants. But I think you're right though. It would be a nice gesture for him to get in there and see that there's a lot of them.
He could say that, but who wouldn't like a get well card?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If you're ill, you're out, you're down and out, you get a get well card. It's nice. He doesn't, and Kirk yeah. Hope all is well.
So DEC, I think you're smart to say you want to go in the Discord because I see the fan base getting away from the old guard a bit.
Yep.
And I think that's just a result of it growing. So to me, the old guard right now are the horse and buggy salesmen, and they're getting really upset with all the whippersnappers in their Model Ts rather than just getting on board and saying, well, things have changed and there's a new way of doing things. I don't like
I wouldn't say it's a horse and buggy. I'd say we have all these Honda Accords that were built, but we're going to stop selling the Honda Accord model from 2018. So that makes it a static bunch by nature. And now we're going to the 19, the 20, and the 21 model. These are just by very nature, the group of us who are with Kirk from the beginning are a static group. So these are people who are going to have a different perspective who are jumping on. We want to have more people because we want this to be the biggest show on the planet.
Okay.
I'm not sure if everybody agrees.
Right. But just another nickel's worth of free advice. I was once their age. I was once the youngest guy in the table, around the conference room at work. And I'd listen to these old guys go on about how things used to be and why new ideas won't work. And I used to think like, I can't wait to knock you fuckers out. Now I'm the old guy at the table and I remember exactly that. And I make sure I never say, well, in my day, or whatever condescending self-attention grabbing phrases that they use. I always engage the younger younger generation, and they're very appreciative about it because you don't come across as like, I know and you don't know. No, they benefit by your experience. So I think when you say old guard, like the Minifans, my another nickel's worth of free advice would be engage with them. Engage.
Yeah, more of the KNC people versus the camp people who wherever they started. You're in the industry, Ned. Have you ever seen new employees come in who just blow it off the doors compared to the older people?
Right. Sure.
I don't
absolutely
think age and experience means that you are great. You can if you chose to do something with that.
Right.
But there are people who are new who've got fresher ideas that may push you to do better.
Correct.
And I feel like you're doing that for me.
Yeah. I think that's a good way to look at it. I mean, and those guys, again, my whole thing with the Intel guys comes back to they did a good job and they made a good show. So if they had done a terrible job and people were going at them for that, I'd have a harder time defending them. But the fact that they did such a good job and now they're getting accused of all these nefarious things, it just to me reeks of people who get a lot of attention themselves, are on a lot of KMS related shows, consider themselves or have been declared made guys, and they don't like when other people start getting some attention for themselves.
Right. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Perception.
But that's just me. That's just me. And I'll say this too, to be fair, DC, you're right. Matt, love him or hate him, he's dynamic enough that he went on last night and he stirred the drink last night. Not everybody can do that. Some people can go on the show and they're like a deer in headlights. So he's at least good enough to do that. And I'll always give him credit for that. I'll never say he's not, that he's terrible. I don't think he should be on Mike's show every week.
No.
If Mike asked me to be on every week, I would say the same thing. I would say that I don't think there's any fan that's really dynamic enough.
You get overexposed.
On every week, the scariest place in life to be would be between you and that microphone. It would be very dangerous in that gap. You would go on every week.
If he asked me to?
Promoted.
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't go on every week because I think after 3 weeks, people would be tired of it.
I'm not sure about that. DC, I'm not sure I agree with you because nothing's worse than familiarity breeds contempt. You get overexposed, and I think Matt should. It's Mike's show, and he did say Matt is kind of his co-host. But I think it would benefit Matt if he just took a week off. I like him a lot, but yesterday or last night, for once, Blind Mike kept his mic off. He was not very engaged until he couldn't take anymore, and he stepped in a few times, which was great. But I did feel that Matt was being ganged up on by Quantum Chris, but John handled it well. I thought John was going one-on-one, made acknowledgments. The worst thing you do is never acknowledge that the other person's opinions are invalid or to be discounted. So John handled it pretty well. Matt was coming from he was on fire from the get-go. Was he 100% right? No, but he was getting his point across. And I don't know if you guys saw it all the way through, but in the end, I think it ended amicably with ways to move forward together.
Yeah, and I think that's because people, we play up the battle and the infighting. I think is part of the fabric of the show and the universe, and it can be fun when it's not taken too seriously.
Right.
But I think at the end of the day, like Matt and John and I fall in the same category. Everybody's good people, nice people in real life. We like to get on and mix it up, but because you're a good person at heart, you're naturally going to steer towards de-escalation. So I think you'll see that in a lot of the KMS shows. Like you're right, Ned, last night's an example where it starts off hot and heavy with a lot of fireworks. And then by the end, people are they found a groove and they're getting along a little more. And I think that's just because you've got good people who naturally are going to head in that direction because they want to get along with everybody. And I think that's, I think there's room for both. It's good. I don't like when people actually get legitimately mad at each other over KMS stuff. It's just ridiculous.
Right. There's a greater purpose involved. And I also am very suspicious of those who do escalate things to self-promote. So if, the least little incident becomes a big deal, and you get the Kelleher, that type of situation where it's like, come on, you got, who wants to be famous? I don't give a shit about me. I have a life. I'm doing this as like my kids tell me you should do this. And it is fun, but I don't want to gain anything from this. I love the Kirk Minahan show. That's all. If I got content from that show, like I was getting before any of this stuff, I'd still be listening. So, I don't want to like fight with anyone. You can have discussions, but at the end of the day, it's all about the show. And that's the focus should be for everyone, is the focus is on the show and getting Podcast Jesus back to health.
Right.
That's the
Amen.
Amen.
Hearing Ned say he doesn't want to fight makes me want to get him to fight with me.
No, about what?
I don't know. It just instinctively, it's like the way the Joker just wants to get Batman to break his rule about killing people.
Right, yeah.
Hearing you say you never want to fight with anyone just makes me like, I want to get that guy. I want to get
There's
him
nothing
back.
legitimate. You know who I want to fight with? The Shirleys, the Red Sox, the Globe,
Yes,
the Shaughnessy's, those fuckheads, Jerry Callahan. Let me go. I'll fucking rip him from limb to limb as being a fraud. But amongst ourselves, no.
See, whereas I like I said, I think the infighting's part of the fabric of the world. I don't think it's ever going to go anywhere.
But to keep it in context, Eisenhower's job in World War II in the European theater was to keep the Allies together, aimed for the same objective, while he had his generals, both his own generals and the British generals, and the Canadians and the French and the Italians. And his job was to be a politician, to keep everyone focused on the ultimate cause, which was the destruction of Nazi Germany. So, what was it? Patton who said, I think he said something like, God save us from our allies because we can take care of our enemies, or something like that. But that's what I don't want happening in this world, is like we're all like just sniping back and forth at each other for no good reason. That's the thing too, is there's no real valid reason. Just stay focused. It's the Kirk Minahan show. It's not the Kirk Minifan show. Ooh,
And it's Mike Zahn who said, when Patton is Patton, he's Robert E. Lee.
I love that one.
All right. On that note, guys, I know you guys said you both got to get out at 10. We went a little bit
mass.
over.
I have to go pray for Podcast Jesus.
Well, Ned, I got to
It's
tell you,
Lent.
it made me question us when in a text yesterday, Ned said, I got to be done by 10. I have mass at 11. Seriously. And it's like-
Seriously.
I thought,
It's 11:30
what does
actually.
it say about us that Ned has to clarify? Like, no, seriously, guys, I'm going to church.
I do, yeah.
All right. Well, Ned, have a good, I hope the sermon's not boring.
Oh,
There will
I'm
be.
usually focused on other things anyway.
All right. Well, thank you guys for doing this. We'll do this, as often as we can. But thank you to Ned Snark. Thank you to DEC. I'm gonna send you guys out and do a quick goodbye to everybody. So that's the first episode of Nickel's Worth of Free Advice. As you can see, it's a little bit of educational, little bit of Minifan discussion, like a lot of the other shows, but we're trying to, get a few different elements in there. One thing I'll say is if you've got ideas for shows, hit me up. We'll see if we can do one. I think the next episode is going to be the red hot, on fire John from Scranton is going to come on and teach me how to make those GIFs where somebody's head is superimposed onto another person's. I don't know how to do that. I see lots of other Minifans who do it, and I always think, I wish I could do that because I think I could make some funny ones. And that right there is what I want this show to be. If you see other Minifans engaging with the KMS world in some way, and you'd like to do it, but you don't know how, I want this show to be a resource to help you get going. So I think that's going to be the next episode. The other thing I'll say is that, this is going to be a PG-13 show. It's going to be the hardest, most badass PG-13 show you've ever heard. But another goal of this show, the reason I'm stressing that is I know from communicating with some Minifans, and I fall into this boat too, some of us have professional concerns where, you might not want to be affiliated with some of the R-rated humor that we all love, but you may not necessarily want to be seen on YouTube participating in it. And I think that's totally fair. So I'd also like this to be a landing spot for some of the fans who fall into that boat, where I can assure them, if it's me guiding the ship, that, we're going to keep it within bounds where if your boss were to stumble upon this show on YouTube, you're not going to think, oh shit, I'm going to be in deep trouble on Monday. Your boss might think you're a little bit of a nerd and a geek, and that's totally reasonable. But I don't think it's anything that you would get in any professional hot water over. So that's it. That's Nickel's Worth of Free Advice. Thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll make a few more of these. Peace. I can't believe I said peace. Oh, Jesus Christ. I never say peace.